David.
This
Thank you so
conference
much
will
for
now be
joining us here
recorded.
today. I'm Gina Mondernock, and I'm the Oncology Outreach Coordinator at John Stoddard Cancer Center. And I want to thank everyone for joining the second Dish with Dr. Nish today. This series was created to address topics of interest within our community affecting our physical and mental health. We'll take care of a few housekeeping items first. Please make sure your mics remain muted and cameras are off during the program. As you think of questions, you can type them into the chat box, and Dr. Nish will address as many of them as he can at the end. We'll also send a survey out after the program, and if you wish to provide any feedback or suggestions for future programs, you can do so at that time. We are raising funds for our Meals That Matter program, which provides nutritious meals to our oncology patients and a support person. This is a newer program that has come about since the COVID-19 pandemic, and there will be a link in the chat box if you would like the opportunity to donate. So with that, I would like to introduce our speaker, Dr. Nish. Dr. Andrew Nish currently serves as the Medical Director for John Stoddard Cancer Center. After a successful 27-year career as an interventional radiologist, Dr. Nish noticed overall health of patients and the population was not getting better and noticed ways the traditional care model was lacking in support of patients and their families. With this, he began to study nutrition, stress, exercise, and sleep as it relates to health and wellness. He went on to enroll in a 2-year fellowship at the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine at the University of Arizona. After he completed his studies in October of 2018. As medical director at John Stoddard Cancer Center, Dr. Nish serves as an important link to the medical staff and works to facilitate discussions around quality, clinical trials, patient care enhancements, and in recent history, part of these enhancements have included the addition of healing therapies for oncology patients targeted to improve patient outcomes. This is at no cost to patients and families, and it is funded through the Charlie Cutler Healing and Wellness Endowment. It is through his passion for improving care and his research on these therapies that he joins us here this morning to review studies and techniques to help you at work and at home to improve your well-being, integrating positive change into your busy lives. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Nish.
Thank you, Gina. Welcome, everyone. This is a bit interesting. We can't meet in person, but we can certainly stay connected through virtual meetings. So welcome to everyone. Thank you, Gina, for that long introduction, but I'm just really grateful that I can do this and be here all today. The way I've structured this is we're going to take about 5 minutes with meditation. So I wanted to do a little bit of time to just be without any worries, of where you need to be. And then 30 to 35 minutes with a talk that I've prepared, and it really revolves on how to maintain our well-being and our immune system during all the crises we're now undergoing. And then we'll have a short period that I can answer questions on the chat box. So let's go ahead and do our 5-minute meditation. So I want everybody to get comfortable in your seat or wherever you are. And you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. And as you breathe, I want you to breathe deeply in and deeply out. Very slow, measured breathing. And as you breathe in, think of breathing in the peace and beauty of the world. And as you breathe out, I want you to breathe out love, kindness, and compassion for your fellow human beings as well as the earth. And visualize, if you can, your breath flowing through your heart. As we do the meditation, there'll be periods of silence. I'll interrupt now and then with short vignettes. And I'll also be playing some crystal singing bowls to just kind of help you, put you in a state of relaxation, calm, and peace. Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes. Begin to breathe deeply. Breathe in peace and beauty. Breathe out love, kindness, and gratitude. For these 5 minutes, you have nowhere to go, nothing to think about. Think of this as a radical act of kindness for yourself, humankind, as well as the earth. We are at peace with one another. We love one another. We are at peace with the earth. You have nowhere else to be except where you are now. There's nothing to do, nothing to act upon. These are your 5 minutes to bring peace, love, kindness, and compassion to yourself, your fellow human beings, the earth, as well as the cosmos. We are human beings. We are now being in the present moment, aware of all that surrounds us, yet free of negative thoughts and emotions. Give thanks for this radical act of kindness for yourself, for your fellow humans, for the earth, and everything that surrounds us. Okay. I hope I've put you all in a frame of mind where you can listen, absorb, and synthesize what we're going to talk about next. So I'm going to share my screen, my PowerPoint here. Just take a second. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is how do we protect our health, our well-being, and our immune system during stressful times? And we're going to use the integrative model for talking about this. First of all, let me just get rid of something here. The only certainty in life is uncertainty. And we all have recognized this very acutely in the last few months. Life itself is uncertain, but we as an organism, as a human organism, are always trying to figure out certainty. Well, you can see the conflict within us. We live in an uncertain world, but we want our lives to be certain. We have this thought of what the future should be, and when it doesn't turn out that way, we end up stressed, anxious, and with disease. So you can see this conflict. We're constantly worrying about a future that has not happened yet, and simultaneously we're trying to figure out the steps on how to avoid that which has not yet happened. And as some of you may remember from my previous talk on mind body, our brain is incredibly adept at holding negative thoughts and emotions, but it's not very adept at holding positive thoughts and emotions. So we visualize the future as something horrible and bad, and we want to hang on to the present. And that's what creates this conflict. We're trapped in a mindset which is physically and mentally exhausting. It exhausts us to think about what's going to happen in the future. We have no idea. So we could think about the COVID pandemic. We want to return to, quote, normal. We want our lives back the way we were. Yet I think what's going to happen is our lives are going to change and we're going to have a different, quote, normal, but that normal can be better and we can feel more alive than we've ever felt. Fear or opportunity? We live in this fear-based world. I want to look at this as an opportunity. This is a great opportunity for us to look at our deep-seated fears about our own mortality. We're afraid of dying. We're all afraid of our own mortality. We can recognize that the virus is not causing those fears. Those fears are built into our subconscious, and the virus is bringing to the surface all those things in the human psyche that relate to the fear of our own existence. And we can see this in many ways. The virus has revealed the despair already inherent in our system. And this is now manifested as the racial tensions boiling to the surface. We are seeing, again, health inequity, racial inequity, wealth inequity. These are not new. These have been brought to the surface by the virus. So not only do we have a viral pandemic, we have a racial inequity pandemic, which is not new. Our country was founded on genocide. We were founded on killing all the Indians. We have had racial inequity for the last 400 years. The virus has just brought this to the surface. So we can take this time as an opportunity to really appreciate what it is to be alive. We need to learn to be uncomfortable with uncertainty. You and I just don't know what's going to happen. And if we can be still with this, if we can be comfortable with uncertainty, then we can live a full life in the present moment. I found that I've really enjoyed these last 3 months. My life has slowed down. I've had some time for introspection, and I realize that every day is precious and every day can be terrific when we don't live in this fear-based world. If you're fighting the system, and that's what we want to do, we're fighting the system. We're fighting to hold on to what we think we need to have. We're contributing energy to that system. So what I would suggest is we take that energy that we're contributing to a system that's going to result in human extinction. We know we're on our way, and we put that energy into a new system of love, caring, compassion for yourself, for your fellow humans, for every animal and plant on this earth, as well as the entire universe. Where you put your energy is what's going to feed that future vision. What about our thoughts and beliefs? We all know that the physical body can be affected by our immaterial mind, our thoughts. Those thoughts, the mind's direct energy, influence our body's physiology. We talked about that in my last talk. It is important that we shift our energy towards positive life-generating thoughts and eliminate these energy-draining and debilitating negative thoughts. And this is now more crucial than ever. If you turn on the news, if you turn on the internet, if you read a newspaper, all we see is hate, violence, fear of the virus, fear of, almost a police state. We need to change our thoughts and take that ever-present draining energy and convert them to positive thoughts. Okay. There's been experiments, very interesting experiments. And those experiments show that if 1% of any given population channels their thoughts and beliefs into positive life-giving energy, they can affect the entire population. So yes, our energy and thoughts reach out across the world and the universe. If we continue to contribute to the negative thoughts, we will just perpetuate the current system. We need to change how we think. The nature of life, as we said, is uncertain. How comfortable we are with uncertainty is the degree which we experience freedom from that concern. When we can experience freedom, our human physiology relaxes. If our mind is in a constant state of fear, then our body has to follow. That's the fight or flight reaction in our body. We need to do the best we can to control this fictitious, illusionary view of the future that has not happened yet. We all want to be able to predict the future, yet we all know the future is entirely unpredictable. When you're expending energy into trying to predict or prepare for a future that hasn't happened, you're exhausted. Live in the present moment. Live in the present moment. So I'm going to ask each of you a question. As an absolute truth, as you sit here in this moment, is it true that you are not safe? Is it true that you are imminently not safe? For most of us, we are not safe. Most of us are safe. There are many people in the world who are not, but most of us listening to this are safe. Yet our minds would tell us we're in dire jeopardy. We're going to die of the coronavirus. Racial unrest, we're going to die from a police bullet. That's not true. So how you experience your mind, body, and emotional state in the absence of that concern that you are not safe, how would that feel? How would it feel in the absence of concern for your own security? Would you feel? And in this, there is true peace. There truly is peace. So what are the tools that I'm going to talk about to help maintain our wellness and support our immune system? Number one, we're going to talk about stress mitigation. We're going to talk about the breath, mindfulness and meditation, forest bathing. We're going to talk about sleep, One of the most important things that we kind of forget about is many of us are working from home. And how do we optimize our home environment to optimize our health and well-being? We'll talk about exercise, nutrition, and how do we maintain social relationships when we're socially distanced. These are all incredibly important for maintaining health. So let's talk about stress. Stress happens when the mind resists what is. And this is the crux of stress. Our mind, our thoughts are always running wild with doomsday scenarios. And we are resisting what is in this present moment. And so we could look at what is in this present moment as very negative. Fear of the virus, fear of racial tensions, fear of our leadership, fear of whatever else might come up. And what the virus has done is it has amplified these negative thoughts. It's amplified these negative thoughts. So we need to resist that and really be in the present moment. What is in front of us? And how can we take every day and give gratitude for that? Give gratitude that the fact that we're breathing. Give gratitude to the fact that we have food. Give gratitude to the fact that we have a beautiful natural environment, as opposed to worrying about when's the vaccine coming? How am I going to do this? Or how am I going to do that? Chronic unrelenting stress, whether real or imagined, profoundly contributes to physical disease and profoundly disrupts the immune system. And we're seeing in the journals right now the worry of mental health issues in the future. More depression, more anxiety, more suicide. This is all because our mind is running wild with fear and anxiety. Chronic
Dr.
stress.
Sorry to interrupt. If you have your microphones on, could you please mute them? We're getting a little bit of feedback from some people. Sorry.
No worries. Chronic stress increases the severity and frequency of viral infections. Yeah, stress increases our risk for disease. So let's talk about the breath. The breath is one of the simplest ways that we can begin to reduce our levels of stress and anxiety. Breathing is the bridge between mind and body, the connection between consciousness and unconscious, the movement of spirit in matter. Breath is the key to health and wellness. We all take breathing for granted because it's an involuntary reaction, but it's also under our conscious control. We can control our breath. So when we're in a state of stress and anxiety, we breathe shallow and we breathe rapidly. When we breathe deeply and slowly, we mitigate that anxiety, we mitigate that stress, and we become more relaxed. Conscious breathing techniques have been shown to lower blood pressure, lower heart rate, increase blood flow, help with digestion, and bring a sense of calm. Yeah, the breath is an amazing tool. There's a brand new book that came out. I just ordered it. I haven't read it. It's called Breathe, B-R-E-A-T-H. It's by Tom Nestor, N-E-S-T-O-R. And he has investigated and done research on all the literature on breathing. And it's really a phenomenal technique that can do all of these things that we said: lower heart rate, lower blood pressure, bring a sense of calm just by breathing. Yeah, you can do it. There's a myriad of ways to do it. What I like to teach people is you can breathe in slowly for 3 or 4 counts, breathe out for 3 or 4 counts. And as you do, you can quietly say a meditation. For example, I am at peace. And we said some meditations this morning. As we breathe in the beauty of the earth, we breathe out love, gratitude, and kindness for everything around us. When we do that, there's something in our brain called neuroplasticity. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So if we continually think of love, peace, kindness, gratitude, equanimity, justice, those things begin to hardwire in our brain. When we're constantly thinking of fear, hatred, anger, Those hardwire into our brain. So you can change your brain. You can change the way the world is seen. Your thoughts can dictate your reality, and breathing is a part of it. So breathing can be done anytime, anywhere, and it can calm the emotions, it can calm feelings, and it can make you feel quiet. Meditation. So meditation, defined by Jon Kabat-Zinn, is moment-to-moment, non-judgmental awareness or mindfulness. Meditation consists of two simultaneous processes. One is insight, paying attention to what is arising. So meditation doesn't mean blanking out your mind. Meditation is really about paying acute attention and awareness to what is arising around you in that moment. But the other part of meditation is surrender, letting go of attachment to those arising thoughts. So we're all going to have thoughts. We have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of them we don't act on. Most of them we don't pay attention to. Many of them we do. And by not paying attention and not judging those thoughts and letting them go, they're transient. They're just thoughts. They disappear. Everything in life is transient. The breath is transient. You breathe in, you breathe out. That breath is transient. Everything is transient. So Jon Kabat-Zinn writes of 9 attitudes that can be cultivated in everyday life through the practice of meditation. We're going to talk about these 9 because I think they're really important and really bring a good perspective on what is meditation. Meditation is not, you can't be good or bad at meditation. It just is. So number 1, we want to go into meditation with a beginner's mind. We always want to look at things fresh and new. Fresh and new, like a child. Think of a little kid. Everything they see is new. And what's the one question kids ask 1,000,000 times? Why? 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 As our experience grows and as we age, this leaves little room for novelties or new possibilities. In the mind of an expert, there are few possibilities, but in the mind of a beginner, there are infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. So think about beginner's mind. Think about beginner's mind. Can everything be new? Probably not. But try it and discover what you're missing every day. Non-judging. This is a really big one. We constantly judge. Every second of every day, we're judging something. When you really pay attention to what goes on in your mind, you discover you have judgments and opinions about everything. Like, dislike, want, don't want, good, bad. The list goes on. When we quickly judge something, we're not allowing ourselves to see how things really are. Think of day-to-day interactions with people. We judge them immediately by their looks, by their smells, by their actions, and we immediately label those people. We immediately label those people, good, bad, based on their skin color, whatever it might be. We judge them immediately. Meditation does not mean we will not have judgments. It means that we're aware of how judgmental we are, and that can help us navigate through the judging so that it no longer dominates our lives. I'm going to tell you a little story. There was a farmer. This is an ancient story. There was a farmer, and his horse ran away. And his neighbor comes and said, "Oh, your horse ran away. That's too bad. That's horrible." And the farmer says, "Good, bad, who knows?" 3 days later, his horse comes back with 5 other horses. His neighbor comes over and says, "Wow, that's terrific. That's so great. That's wonderful." The farmer goes, "Good, bad, who knows?" Another week goes by and the farmer's son breaks his leg. Neighbor comes over and says, "Oh, that's terrible. He broke his leg. He can't help you." And the farmer again says, "Good, bad, who knows?" A week later, there's a war. And the government comes around and is conscripting all these young men, and he comes to the farmer's house, and the farmer's son has broken his leg, so they passed him by. The neighbor comes, oh, that's wonderful news. And the farmer's good, bad, who knows? Non-judging. We don't know. When we meet another person and that person acts differently than us or looks differently than us or has different skin color, we immediately judge them. But we have no right to judge them because we have no idea where that person came from. And this epitomizes our racial tensions. We have enslaved people of color for 400 years. We judge them as inferior to us, and no longer is that acceptable in this world. We have no right to judge those people because we have no idea where they came from. So think about that next time you meet someone who isn't particularly the same as you. Acceptance. This is a really interesting one because this really has to do with the crux of meditation. An active recognition that things are the way they are. Things are the way they are. What happened, happened, and it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. And we're constantly fighting acceptance. We don't want to accept that we have this pandemic of the virus. We don't want to accept we have this pandemic of racial hatred. We don't want to accept that this world is in trouble and our earth is dying. Accept it means unless we accept things as they are, we will force things to be as they are not. I want to repeat that. Acceptance means we accept things as they are, and we will force things to be as they are not. And this leads to stress, anxiety, and fear. We're trying to manipulate the system to whatever we think it should be, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah. Next is letting go. Letting go. And this plays out in our current pandemic of, I want to go back to normal. It's the opposite of clinging. Letting go reminds us that we do not have to get involved in grasping and clinging what we want and push away what we don't want. Letting go means letting be, allowing things to be as they are. Letting go allows you to recognize that you're trapped by your own desires, which can be painful. It's really a doorway to freedom, a doorway to freedom. We're constantly trying to push away the unpleasantness and hold on to the pleasant. And when we do that, it creates tension, stress, and anxiety. Be with yourself, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. As Jon Kabat-Zinn talks about, put out the welcome mat for those things that are pleasant, but put out the welcome mat for those things that are unpleasant. Pain, grief, because you have to deal with each of those in their own way. Trust. This is a big one for us because we don't really trust our own bodies. We want to cultivate a deep sense of trust and trustworthiness in ourselves. Can we trust the natural wisdom of the body? Can we trust our natural instincts? Okay, so we think we have 5 senses, sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing, but we have many other non-measurable intuitive senses. Think of gut reaction, think of heartfelt. These are things in our body that we need to learn to trust. So trust your body, trust your intuition. Patience. We're impatient to get to the next thing, aren't we? And I think this whole coronavirus thing has really helped us with patience. We don't have to rush to the mall. We don't have to rush from here to there. Our lives have slowed down. And I hope for many of you, it's given you appreciation for the little things that are so tremendous in our lives. The beauty of nature, the wonder of children and grandchildren, the wonder of our spouses and how they love and care for us. Those are things we take for granted, and we should never take those for granted. We miss those present moments. So we want to cultivate a practice and recognition that things will unfold in their own way, and in some profound way they cannot be hurried. In rushing to get somewhere, the byproduct is that we are never actually where we are because we're worried about the next thing that we need to do. Patience, one of the hardest things we do in our society. Non-striving. Again, goes with patience. Trying not to make anything happen. We're always trying to make something happen. Be with the unfolding of life moment to moment without trying to make it happen or manipulate it. My wife and I have watched a show on Netflix, no, it's on Amazon, called A Place to Call Home. And one of the things that there's a patriarch or matriarchal family, and the matriarch of the family is constantly trying to manipulate her children and grandchildren into what she thinks they should do. And it's turned out to be an utter disaster. Life will unfold as it unfolds. Let it be. Let things be as they are. Whatever is already here is good enough. It's good enough. Oh, I get this crazy thing that pops up. Sorry about that. Gratitude. Bring gratitude to the present moment every day. Every day. Be grateful every day for 3 or 4 things. It can be as simple as, oh, I got out of bed this morning. Oh, I'm still breathing. Be grateful. And generosity. We've seen great acts of generosity during this coronavirus. And that's part of life, and that's part of what makes us feel good. Give yourself over to life. Give to other people what would make them happy or bring them joy. No strings attached. I am here to help you today without the expectation of you giving me anything back. Generosity. Forest bathing. As most of you know, this is one of my favorite things, is time in nature. It's described by the Japanese called Shinrin-yoku, and it means taking in the forest atmosphere. It's very simple. If you visit a natural area and walk in a relaxed way, you can feel calm, rejuvenated, and restored. Yes, forest bathing. Immersing oneself in nature and experience the forest atmosphere is known to improve mental and physical health. Immerse yourself with all 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, feel. Feel the forest, hear the forest, smell the forest. And also give back to the forest. Give back to the forest with gratitude, love, kindness, caring. Every day we should go out and absorb nature. It's easy to do. Go outside. So we've talked a lot about stress reduction, and I believe in my research and reading and continued reading that stress is one of the most important yet most discounted factors in health. Dr. Herbert Benson from Harvard University wrote several decades ago, 90% of all physician office visits are stress related. We need to be less stressful. And I think breathing and meditation are 2 great ways to begin the process, as well as forest bathing. Sleep. Sleep has always been discounted as well. It's not that important. You know what? I'll sleep when I'm dead. And the sad fact is you'll be dead sooner if you don't sleep. Shorter sleep duration and inconsistent sleep patterns increase the risk of infectious illness. So if we want to improve our immune system, we need to sleep. If we want to improve our general health, we need to sleep. One study showed that getting less than 5 hours of sleep over 7 consecutive nights versus 7 or more hours resulted in a 350% increase in the risk of developing a cold. Yes, that's not coronavirus. The coronavirus is transmitted similarly, and our lack of sleep depresses our immune system. Sleep. 7 to 9 hours every night. It appears that consistency may be more important than duration. Same bedtime, same wake time, no matter what the day. Monday, Saturday, Sunday, it should all be the same. Sleep. Making your home a healing space. We really don't think about this as a healing space. We think of our home as a space to have parties, see family, cook, sleep, whatever. But I really want you to think of your home as a therapeutic healing space, particularly if you're working from home. So what are the elements of a place that can change, whether it's calm or stressful? Noise, light, temperature, humidity, crowding, odors. Those can all influence whether our home is a healing space or a space that's making us sick. Let's go through each one. There's a gal down at the University of Arizona. Her name is Esther Sternberg. She wrote a book called Healing Spaces. She's done a lot of research on how interior design, and can affect our health. And so some of the things we may or may not think about. We want to think about all the senses of our body and how that interacts with our home. So what do you see? Beautiful, beautiful views of nature are universally calming and healing. If you're able to place your desk near a window, place it near a window, preferably with abundant sunlight. Even more preferably would be morning sunlight. If you don't have a window, put some plants and flowers around your work area. Hang a picture of a beautiful nature scene. Sunlight will enhance your mood, improve your sleep, and increase your productivity. Also, we want to declutter our workspaces. Cluttered workspaces lead to more stress and anxiety. So declutter your workspace. Make it a place where you want to come that feels serene and light and beautiful. What do you hear? We don't think about what we hear in our work environment very much. Loud noises are stressful. So we want to listen to calming noises. Noises of nature tend to be very calming, whether it's the wind through the trees, the brook that's running over rocks, ocean waves. Nature sounds are inherently calming. You can open the window, listen to the birds, listen to the wind blowing through the trees. Wouldn't recommend it today, it's a little hot and humid, but you can do that. You can play your favorite calming music. No, you don't want to play Tool or AC/DC, but Mozart works really well. Bach, Beethoven, these sounds can lift your spirit and can be calming. So think of what you're hearing in your environment. Smells, another thing we don't really think much of. But smells, our olfactory sense is our most primitive sense, and it's also the one that lingers the longest as far as history. We can remember smells as a child, and they become acutely aware to us as an adult. So think of smells that remind you of happy memory or make you feel good, and recreate those smells. Baking cookies, don't go eating all the cookies though. Pine smell. For me, the smell of pine reminds me of the North Woods. It's one of my favorite smells. Recreate those in your house. You want to have good ventilation in your home and your working environment. Okay, there's some studies that show exhaled carbon dioxide, as it accumulates in a room, we become sleepy and our ability to think becomes impaired. So breathe in closed spaces without proper ventilation. Think of a small enclosed conference room can triple the carbon dioxide levels, leading to impaired thinking. So whenever possible, open a window, enjoy the outside fresh air. Humidity, again, something we don't think about. Humidity can have a tremendous impact on our health. A recent study showed that humidity levels less than 30%, think winter, and greater than 60%, think summer, increased levels of stress by 25%. Optimal humidity for well-being appears to be around 40 to 45, between 35 and 45%. Also remember, in the winter, dry air facilitates the transmission of viral illnesses. So in the winter, we really want to humidify our house with a minimum humidity level of 30%. Science backs this up. Exercise. One of the positive things I've seen with this coronavirus is there's way more people out in the parks exercising, biking, walking, running, whatever it might be. Excuse me. Consistent daily exercise can improve your immune system, boost your mood, improve your physical conditioning. In short, it protects you from getting ill. Exercising in nature enhances these overall health benefits compared with exercising indoors. Get out every day, take a walk, garden, mow the lawn, ride your bike. The more we move, the better you will feel. Nutrition, we can talk hours about nutrition, but during times of anxiety and stress, as we've talked about before, there are hormonal signals in our body that tell our brain to eat junk food, or what we call comfort food, things with salt, fat, and sugar. Well, how do we resist those temptations? We learn to mitigate stress, we sleep well, we exercise well, and then we'll naturally want foods that are better for us. So it's more important than ever to eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. These contain compounds, protective compounds called flavonoids, and they can help protect us from infection. Eat the rainbow of colors. Eat all colors: red, yellow, purple, black, orange, green. 2 to 3 servings of fruits, 5 to 7 servings of vegetables every day can help boost your immune system and improve your overall wellness. It's a great time of year. The farmer's market isn't open downtown, but there are little pop-up farmer markets everywhere. Relationships, socialization, and loneliness. Stephen Cole, who I've mentioned in previous talks, is a psychologist out at UCLA, and he would contend that social isolation is the best established psychological risk factor for disease. Well, here we are in a time of social distancing. So how do we maintain strong, loving, nurturing social communications and relationships that can protect us from chronic disease? Well, we can socialize with our immediate family who we're constantly exposed to. And I think this is a really great chance as a family, as a couple, whatever it might be, to really connect with that person on a deeper level because we have time. Play with your kids, play with your grandkids. But how do we stay connected with our bigger tribes? And that can be a little tougher. Texting and telephone calls are great. Let me go back. Texting and emails are okay, but even better are telephone calls and videoing, where we can hear the person's voice, see them on a screen. Just because we're socially distanced does not mean we have to be socially isolated. It takes a little more effort, but it can be done. And this is a real concern in the medical community about social isolation, particularly people of color who may feel isolated, particularly people, seniors who may be isolated. And we need to do everything we can to try and connect with those people who we feel might be isolated. So if you haven't talked to your great uncle, long lost great uncle, give him a call, help out. These are 10 letters to live by. This is by James Dottie, who's head of the Compassion Center out at Stanford. And I just love this list because these are words we don't hear very often in our current media situation. Compassion, dignity, equanimity, forgiveness, gratitude, humility, integrity, justice, kindness, and love. This is how we need to lead our lives. Not anger, fear, hatred. We know there have been experiments done. If we could take 1% of the population and we could meditate and put the same thoughts out into the universe every day, we can shift the entire rest of the 99% of the population. This actually works, and there's experiments that show it. So if every day you can take 5 minutes and you can be compassionate to yourself, you can love yourself, and then you can transmit those feelings through your heart to the universe, we can change the world. I think right now we are in a time of radical change, and we are going to change this world for the better. We've seen enough hatred, anger. We are done with it. We're finished with it. And we are going to learn that the way to improve the human race is compassion. Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We're doing the same thing over and over to ourselves, to humanity, and to this earth, and we're getting the same result, which is the destruction of our civilization. And unless we change the approach, the human race as we know it will become extinct. This is big stuff, and we can all contribute to this collective consciousness. And in the meantime, what this does for you, it results in calm, reduces stress, decreases risk of disease, and improves your overall life. So that's what I have to say. Let me get rid of this, and we will go to some question and answer stuff. And there's a deer in my backyard munching on my plants. 1 second here.
Thank you, Dr. Nish, so much for the presentation. Just a reminder, if you have any questions for Dr. Nish, please type them in the chat box and he will answer them.
Yeah, if I can figure that out.
I just called in, but I was wondering if I could ask a question.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me? Okay. Well, first of all, I just enjoy thoroughly your presentation and find it so enlightening. But you know, after these presentations, the first one in February and now today, I'm so re-energized and have so many great ideas of how I can improve myself, my family, and my health. But how do I keep this top of mind going forward?
Yeah, that's you know, we have to build this into our life. And just as we build sleeping into our life, just as we build eating into our life, we have to build in the time for us. And that really is kind of a radical act for most of us. And as John Kabat-Zinn says, as you sit on the cushion in meditation, you are doing a radical act of kindness. And so it really is about incorporating this into your life as a habit. And it takes time. So, you know, it's taken me years to cultivate that habit on a daily basis. But unless I sit on the cushion for 20 to 30 minutes every morning, I feel like I've missed something. So you really just have to carve out that time and say, this is the time for me to demonstrate kindness, love, and compassion for myself and everything around me. So it really becomes, how do you make it a habit? And, you know, let your family know this is what you're doing. Share this experience with them, because the more we share, the more we can disseminate this journey or these techniques. So share why you're doing it. And guess what? Maybe your kids do it. Maybe your husband does it. So that's, you know, sort of my recommendation of how you do this going forward. You just make it habit. And habits take anywhere from 1 to 3 months to form. So again, the other part of meditation is there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. Just do it. Don't judge yourself. Remember, non-judgmental. Don't criticize yourself. Oh, I didn't meditate today. I'm a bad person. Okay, I didn't meditate. Great, I'll do it tomorrow. Be kind.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I hope everybody noticed the subliminal messaging in my background there. I'm big on subliminal messaging because I think the more we see, the more it embeds in our subconscious. So that poster is from the John Lennon Wall of Peace in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and it says love. And that is the human emotion that we're all bonded to. And the more we can put out into the universe of love for everything on this planet, the more we can change the lives of everyone. Okay, let's see.
Dr. Nish, we're wondering if you could try to hop off of the screen share
Oh yeah, sorry.
for this Q&A portion. Perfect, thank you.
Kathleen writes, I eat wisely 95% of the time. How can I be sure I get enough of the right things when I don't have a huge appetite? So if you're eating wisely 95% of the time, you're doing a terrific job. Nothing is 100%. How can you be sure you have the right things? Well, I guess from a scientific perspective, you can never be sure, but if you're eating 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables, you're avoiding processed foods, particularly things with sugar and processed fats, you're probably doing just fine. And I guess that's just sort of the general principle. And it's hard to know if you're missing anything, but if you're eating, it really, the key to eating is eating as big a variety of foods that you can. So it's not 10 bananas a day or 35 bowls of blueberries a day. It's about eating variety, because every food that comes from nature has its own nutrition profile. And when you eat the nutrition profile of multiple different foods, you will almost certainly get the nutrition that you need if you don't have problems absorbing those nutrients with bowel problems such as irritable bowel or inflammatory bowel and things like that. Okay, let's see.
Dr. Nish, this is Brenna again, and just since you were mentioning healthy eating, and we've encouraged people to donate to the Meals That Matter program today, also made note that they are being matched. Do you want to just give a quick overview on what the program is?
Sure, thank you for asking. So Meals That Matter is a program that we started back in March. And what it is, it's to try and help our cancer patients improve their nutrition. So we started this program by handing out free meals in the radiation oncology section 2 days a week. Those meals were developed by our nutritionist Gretel Lang in conjunction with our food service, and they include 2 to 3 servings of vegetables, a serving of fruit, a whole grain, and a lean protein. And so these are nutritionally well-balanced meals. If any of you have had cancer or been treated for cancer, you know when you come home from your chemotherapy, your radiation therapy, the last thing you want to do is cook. So what do we reach for? We reach for the Hot Pockets and the frozen pizzas. And this really allows us as a cancer center to emphasize the importance of nutrition in the treatment and healing of patients with cancer. So we have this program. It's funded completely through philanthropy. We distribute about $1,400 worth of meals each week, I believe, and Brenna can correct me if I'm wrong. And so any donations that are made today to help fund this program will be matched by a donor. So be generous because your money will double. Anything else, Brenna?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, so someone put in that they heard the podcast on NPR. Oh, here. As an added comment about breathing and meditation, NPR recently had 2 great podcasts on fresh air with Tom Nestor. I have listened to the Tom Nestor podcast. That's how I knew about his book. And so I've ordered the book, but it hasn't come yet. And it's really a great podcast. And then Dan Harris. Are we sure that's not Sam Harris? Because Sam Harris, I use Sam Harris's meditation app called Waking Up. But that's great to know. That's great to know. I'm just reading the things here. Okay, I think those are all the questions. Anybody
There
wants to?
is one other question I see. Someone said, you alluded to life changing forever as a result of the pandemic. In what ways do you anticipate normal will change?
Oh, I didn't see that one. Oh boy, you're asking me to predict the future. And I said I couldn't do that. I'll tell you what I see. I see people appreciating the time they have to spend with family, loved ones, and friends more. And then I'm really hoping that this transmits into the future when we don't have the pandemic anymore. And that people's lives have slowed down, and I hope we can keep them slowed down. You know, as young families, I see young families and they're constantly running from activity to activity, and it's exhausting. And they just don't have time to be as a family. And so that's one of the things I'm hoping comes out of this pandemic is that we can learn that everything we need is right in front of us, and we can enjoy everything in that present moment. And it can be as simple as, and I'll just give an example. I have these peony bushes out in my front yard, and I have 3 yellow peonies, and they haven't ever bloomed. I put them in 2 years ago. They bloomed this year, and they are the most spectacular, unbelievable bloom. And I literally sat and stared at those blooms for about 15 minutes yesterday because it was so extraordinarily beautiful. And so we need to appreciate the present. And maybe this pandemic kicks us in that direction. The other thing I'm hoping the pandemic does is it really highlights how we as humans are not at ease or oriented towards the preservation of this earth. I think the virus is a symptom of our destruction of the earth, and that we need to understand that what happens to us as humans happens to every other species on the earth and the earth itself. It's time to stop exploiting the earth and live with the earth. Because if we continue on the road we're on, we will have a mass human extinction. Not in our lifetime, not in our grandkids' lifetime, but we will extinguish ourselves because of the destruction that we're doing. And I think that this racial tension highlights that as well. This has gone on for decades, hundreds of years, and it really highlights the inequities we have in our society that literally haven't changed in 400 years. And I want everybody to be cognizant of that. And you don't have to go out and march. You don't have to throw bricks through windows. Please don't. But if every day you can sit on your cushion or your couch and you can put out into the universe universal love, compassion, and caring, that's how we're going to change things. That's how we're going to change things. So don't feed the negative energy. Don't feed the hatred of our leadership. Don't feed the anger, but feed what will change society. What we feed is what we get. So that's how I think this pandemic is going to be good. And I know that's been tragic. We've lost over 100,000 lives. People are scared, but with appropriate social distancing and precautions, I think most of us will get through this. We're going to be better for it. We're going to be more human because we walk through this world like robots on autopilot. And to be more human means to be more caring. Our authentic selves, our authentic human selves are caring, loving beings. Think of a young child. When a young child is born, what does that child do? That child is loving. That child has no prejudices, no judgments. Every prejudice and judgment that a child gets is put on him by society.
I'll be back.
Here we go. Right here.
Okay.
What? Okay.
Just a reminder to keep yourself muted if you aren't. There is one that came in from Kathleen. What are some of the best foods to eat as a substitute for meat?
Okay, so if you don't want to eat meat, and again, I'm going to just say I'm not a vegetarian or vegan, I eat meat. And when we say meat, I don't know if that means fish or not fish. So if you are willing to eat fish, fish is a wonderful source of omega-3 fatty acids and protein. You want to be cognizant of the fish that you're eating. So long-lived species such as shark, such as tuna, such as swordfish have mercury contamination, so we want to stay with the shorter-lived species. Salmon, although the salmon run this year has not been good, so salmon can be a bit difficult to get right now. Halibut, mackerel, trout, those are all great. So fish is a great source of protein. Other sources of protein, if you're not going to eat any type of meat, again, I have to, are you going to eat eggs or not eggs? So if you're eating eggs, great source of protein. Each egg has 6 grams of protein. If you're not eating eggs, well, we'll talk about legumes and grains and things. If you want to eat dairy, yogurt is a great source of protein. Hard fermented cheeses are a great source of protein. So there's nuances there. If you want to be a pure vegan, then your protein sources are going to have to come from nuts. Okay, a wide variety of nuts, beans, so a wide variety of legumes. Lentils are quite high in protein. There are many other beans that are high in protein. Some grains will have protein, so you want to eat some whole grains. And there's vegetables, avocado has a little bit of protein, but mainly your protein sources are going to come from nuts, nut butters, legumes, and grains. You have to remember that if you're doing a purely vegan sourcing of protein, you'll absorb about 20% less than if you're using animal sources as a protein, and you will be getting no vitamin B12. So you have to be cognizant of those things. So there's lots of nuances to it. It's real popular right now, these Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers or whatever they are. Again, those are, manufactured hydrolyzed protein sources, which we have no idea whether they're good for you or better than a farm-raised meat. I looked at the package the other day. There was probably 25 ingredients, and I put it back. It has oils in it, canola oil, coconut oil. So I am not convinced that those are the answer for a protein source in someone who wants to get away from meat. I think that the answer is if you want to eat meat and you're okay with that, then you buy respectfully raised meat. There's respectful ways to raise animal protein, which means grass-fed, well cared for, and you don't need much meat. I mean, if you eat 4 ounces of meat a day, you're going to get about 24 to 26 grams of protein, which is more than a third of your requirement. So it takes just a very small amount of meat each day. And you can support regenerative aquaculture through meat. So there is very good evidence that meat raised on pasture, cows raised on pasture, is actually good for the environment and can help with the regeneration of the soil. Whole nother topic.
There was also a question about having access to this recorded session. So yes, we are going to get it put on the internet so that we can send out a link to everybody too, just so you know.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm incredibly grateful to be able to do this. And I just am grateful for my life. I'm grateful for what I've learned and I continue to learn. I am grateful that I've learned to meditate. And this is a process that's lifelong. So in no way am I an expert at this. I am just on this journey called life with all of you. And I hope I can impart some words of comfort, care, and wisdom to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nish, for presenting, and thank you to everyone for joining us here today. Just a reminder, I will be sending out a follow-up email that has a survey with it so that you can give us any feedback or suggestions for future programs. So again, thank you, and we hope to see you at our programs in the future.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a great day.